What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the next game review, and this is a game that I'm really excited to be talking about with you all today. For today's review, I'm here to talk about Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. This is a game that is essentially an alternative version of Super Smash Bros. Essentially, the concept of these games is that it's essentially a crossover fighter in which it brings together all these characters from different franchises and, let's just say, a brawl to duke it out. Ever since Super Smash Bros. Came out back, I can't remember the exact year, but for the Nintendo 64, there have been other games that have been trying to reach the heights that Super Smash Bros. Has. I want to say I've played most of the Super Smash Bros. Alternatives out there. Like, if you guys remember correctly, back in the PS3 era, there was PlayStation All-Stars, which I had a lot of fun with. There was a Warner Bros. Game that had all the Warner Bros. Characters like Superman, Batman, Harley Quinn. I can't remember what that game was, but it came out, I think, a little over a year ago. 2 years ago, Nickelodeon threw their hat in the ring with Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, which I thought was a decent fighter. Nothing particularly great, but it was a game that I thought that had the concept there and a lot of tools ready. It wasn't the game that quite nailed it just yet. The first game was enjoyable to a fault, but I've been curious to see what they do with this one. And guys, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 is a game that genuinely I did not expect to be as good as it is. Everything that made the first game a lot of fun and improves upon it and then some. Just to be fully transparent, I was provided with a review copy of this game, and I do apologize, by the way, that this review is coming out a smidge later than I anticipated, but hey, you know what? This is a game that I really wanted to get my thoughts on, and man, I am really excited to be talking about with possibly one of the biggest surprises this year in terms of gaming. Also, before I continue on, the footage they are all seeing is captured on a PS5. It's time to get into not only why I really enjoyed this game, but it just might be the best alternative to Super Smash Bros. Yeah! The first thing I gotta talk about here is the roster. Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 comes with a pretty great selection of characters, and just to give you all a couple of examples, or just a couple of characters that are included in this game so far, because there will be more that will be added from what I understand next year, but just to give you all a couple of examples of the characters, you have SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Aang, Korra, not to mention as well Gerald, also Mecha Plankton, Reptar is in this, also Nigel Thornberry is in this, Zim, Rocco, the Angry Beavers, Ren and Stimpy. And by the way, just to let you all know, those are just a select few of the characters that are in this game. I was genuinely impressed with how great the roster is. Now, I do have something to mention later on. It's more of like a fanboy theme because I did grow up watching Nickelodeon as a kid, but still, for what we get here at launch, this is a great, and I mean a great roster. Something in particular that I was genuinely impressed by was the campaign. There is actually a campaign in this game because I legitimately don't remember there being a campaign in the first game. And I was not expecting not only how much fun the campaign would be, but the roguelike elements and the overall storytelling of the campaign. The story starts off with SpongeBob and Patrick doing their own little thing. Something happens to Patrick, SpongeBob falls after Patrick, and SpongeBob soon discovers that characters in the Nickelodeon universe have been put in mind control from a villain from Danny Phantom. As you continue throughout the campaign, as y'all can imagine, you do unlock more characters like any Super Smash Bros. But something different that Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 does within this campaign is that, let's just say when you're starting a brand new run as a character, whether it's Aang, Danny Phantom, SpongeBob, Patrick, or the Angry Beavers, every time we start a brand new run, the fights and the stages are always different, which I thought added a lot of variety, and it's actually quite challenging as well. I mean, this was a very, very well done campaign, and it was a lot of fun leading up to a great final boss. The gameplay in Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 is substantial substantially better than it was in the first game. While the first game was definitely fun, absolutely, I feel like there's a lot of elements in the gameplay of the first game that were very undercooked. I'm happy to say that when it comes down to the gameplay here, it is substantially better. Not only do characters move so much more fluidly, the attacks are fun, the specials, and especially the ultimate attacks, especially Aang's special is a blast to use. SpongeBob's special is terrific. Reptar's special is, let's just say right now, badass. Jenny's is a lot of fun. Invader Zim's a lot of fun to use, especially like I mentioned you guys earlier, the roguelike campaign, getting buffs, whether you add a new stock to your character or you upgrade your stock so that you don't die so easily. There are particular things that I do want to talk about later on, but the gameplay in this game is vastly improved. Every single character in this game is so much fun and they're properly balanced, which I absolutely loved about this game. Not to mention as well that Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 looks stunning. The art style, the animation looks absolutely beautiful, and specifically something I want to talk about here is the variety in the maps. Throughout this game, you're being transported into different stages in the Nickelodeon universe. Whether being transported into a world of, let's say, SpongeBob, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Invader Zim, not to mention as well the Angry Beavers. I was generally blown away by how much fun everything was in this game.
Ah! God damn it!
While Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 is definitely better than the first game, there are definitely, unfortunately, some issues that hold this back. Unfortunately, there are some performance issues. Like, for example, there are some really bad frame rate drops. In particular, when you're about to go into the next fight, there are some, like, a couple of frames that you will notice that do drop. Throughout the fights, sometimes there are some pretty bad frame rate drops. When it comes down to the gameplay, there is one mechanic that I just wish was a bit more responsive, and that is the dodge mechanic. The dodge mechanic in this game is responsive, sure. It feels like there's a smidge bit of a delay given how this is a game that is very fast, very intense. One particular thing I gotta mention here, I mentioned this earlier, and that's the roster. While the roster is terrific, I mean, there is a great selection of characters, but there are legitimately some characters that I'm surprised were not included. Like, for example, Arnold from Hey Arnold. Cat Dog was not in there. I mean, Cat Dog, as far as I'm aware, was one of the best shows on Nickelodeon. Now, I imagine throughout next year that there will be some DLC content coming for new characters, but given the roster itself, there are only some characters that I was really shocked that they weren't in this roster. Sometimes the difficulty spikes really high. Like, there will be one match where it is easy as can be, and then let's just say a couple matches later on, this isn't even a boss fight, but there will be a match later on in which where just the difficulty spikes up so much. But that's really about it. So overall, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 is not only a huge improvement over the first game, but it is one of the biggest surprises that I have played all year. Not only does Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 have a great roster of characters, it has a fun campaign, terrific animation and graphics, but it's simply put just an overall a fun as can be time for really all ages. All in all, I'm going to give Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 an 8 out of 10. This game, simply put, is just so much fun. And if you don't have Super Smash Brothers, and if you want just a good fighter brawler, definitely give this game a shot. It's just simply put a lot of fun. So comment down below and let me know. Have you guys played Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 yet? What'd you think of the game? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm also on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you enjoyed my review of Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2. If so, press that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell for my latest review goes live. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please go to the left or right side of the screen. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.